Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on transforming enterprise AI development. This is a joint session organized between NX and AWS. My name is Carlos Navarro. I'm the head of data analytics practice. I will be leading this session. With me, we also have Cesar, who is our AWS senior cloud architect at NX. And we have also Angel, who is our colleague from AWS. He's a senior partner solutions architect. So welcome everyone to this webinar. Looking forward to this session. So in this session, we will be covering a few points regarding how companies can leverage advances in technology, and specifically with AWS. We will be talking about which are the key to remain competitive. We'll be doing a short recap on reInvent 2024, which took place last December. We'll be talking about the SageMaker Unified Studio, which is one of the key areas we're presenting in this session. And we'll be doing a demo so you can see live key functionalities, capabilities of SageMaker Unified Studio. So without any further ado, let's start. And I would like to first start and share a bit my thoughts on what are the keys to remain competitive nowadays for companies. Because in the last 1-2 years, we've seen huge advancements in technology, specifically, seeing what has happened with Gen AI. And what I've seen is generally there's this trend in organizations to both simplify and integrate their data and AI capabilities to remain competitive. But what does this really mean? What this really means is that AI is certainly the big focus of organizations, but we also know that data is the fuel for AI. So it's important to build both the capabilities for your data, so you can then fuel your AI capabilities, but it's very important that all these capabilities are very well integrated, working together, and in a very simplified way. So which are these capabilities that we see a company needs to build in order to remain competitive? So if we start with the area of data, which again is the first part that companies need to focus on, the data foundations should be based around data integration, storage, quality, security, and metadata. Once you have the data foundations, you can again fuel your AI capabilities, so building your foundational or machine learning models. There is now also advancements and building also your AI agents. So your data foundations and your AI capabilities with your models need to work very well close together. But all these needs to be properly wrapped up with solid data and AI governance. We cannot look at data and AI governance separately. It's important that we look at them together as a whole and make sure we keep our compliance, security, and governance very solid. But then what's important is this unified consumption interface. So as I mentioned before, it's important to have both integration and simplification. So it's very important that all your data and AI teams are working on the same data and on the same interface. And that's why what we've seen in the last years is this unified consumption interface where you have one-stop shop for either data engineering, data warehousing, BI, real-time analytics, all working on this common data layer. And then surrounding all this to improve productivity and efficiency, you have AI augmented services. So leverage also, again, AI to improve the way that you deliver your data and AI capabilities. Now, if we look at what we saw at reInvent 2024 back in December, we really see how AWS is progressing towards these capabilities and positioning themselves to win in the data and AI space. So I would like to highlight these 5 key points that I saw from the reInvent, which for me are in line with the trends that we're seeing in the market and that show how AWS is progressing. So as I mentioned before, data foundations are a key part, and we saw at reInvent how AWS is progressing in this area. Already investments that have been done in previous years around their zero ETL integrations to help bringing data into data landscape. But then what we saw is new zero ETL integrations. We also saw the appearance of the Lakehouse, which Angel will be talking about in more detail later, but also other storage capabilities for analytic workloads like S3 tables. Then what also, if we talk about the AI part and the models, we see certainly AWS having a strategy to provide a big variety of different models, which are multimodal, first with their own Amazon Nova model, but also providing a wide variety depending on your needs. So anyone can find the right model for the right job. And then if we move forward, as I mentioned, governance is very important. And we've also seen big investments from AWS in data and AI governance, which is fully integrated into their capabilities. Again, on the unified consumption interface, which is one of the key areas we'll be talking today, we saw the announcement of the SageMaker Unified Studio, which is a huge advancement and is going to provide a big opportunity for productivity, for efficiency for data and AI teams. But I will leave a bit more details on this later on, where Angel will be sharing together with Cesar the demo and some of the capabilities. And then the last one is these augmented services. So as we know, AWS has Amazon Q. So there was some new capabilities, announcements done, which show the big focus on making sure that we wrap all our data and AI capabilities with AI for productivity and efficiency. So this is just a quick overview of reInvent 2024. We did have a post in our webpage, so I would recommend, and I will add this on the comment, so you can read more if you would like to know more details on exactly the announcements and what we learned through the event. Feel free to check this link, and you can read more on these announcements. So as I mentioned, in this session, we're going to mainly focus on the SageMaker Unified Studio, which is the key announcement of that we were very excited to see during the reInvent. And the reason why we were really excited is because, as I mentioned at the beginning, these are the trends and the areas that we've seen organizations have been focusing on during the last year. So the first part that we see is super important is this data foundation and this unified data layer, which is the Lakehouse, which is a key component of the SageMaker Unified Studio. On top of this, a common data and AI governance layer, which is based on the previous governance solutions that AWS has been investing, like DataZone or Bedrock guardrails. So this is a key component for such a modern data platform. And then on top of this, what is very important is have this one-stop shop or this unified consumption interface, where it doesn't matter, again, if you're doing data engineering, if you are data science, if you're building a Gen AI app, you're working on the same interface, you're working on the same data, and you're working on the same governance. So these are key capabilities that are needed today to win with data and AI. And we see Amazon SageMaker Unified Studio as one of the key solutions that can help organizations. Just to give you a bit of a sense of what does this mean in terms of simplification integration. So if we look at how we would before build a data and AI landscape, which you can see on the left. So normally we would need to select different AWS services based on different needs and build your architecture based on your demand, which this of course is still possible and will still be possible if you want to build a very specific solution. But what you get with the Unified Studio is already out-of-the-box unified studio where you don't need to be going and selecting or changing the different services, but you have everything in one place. And this is going to be simplifying a lot the work for for everyone working on data and AI, as you will see later on the demo. But also it helps a lot in terms of working on the same data, which is properly governed. So this is just an overview, so you get a bit of a sense of what are these solutions, the announcements that were done at reInvent. But I'm sure you're here more to actually see this live, see how this is working. So what we've done is we've prepared 3 use cases, so you can get a bit of a taste of these capabilities that I was sharing before, which are super critical today. So we're going to start first showing how to build this trustworthy data foundation with a unified data layer, and we'll have Angel sharing this with us. Then we'll show you how you can build the integrated data layer governance part. And then later on the consumption layer, you will see how easy it is for anyone to consume the data or AI models in the same interface and very rapidly on the data you've created. And this will be our last use case. So what I'll do now is I'll pass the voice to Angel, and we can start looking at use case 1. And just to mention, if you have any questions, feel free to add them, and we'll be sharing them on the chat during this session. And yeah, Angel, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Well, first, if we can go to the slides before the demo, because I want just to explain the lakehouse. Okay, they can read later. Can we put the slides on, please, before just moving to the demo? I want to explain a little. Okay, thank you. Go to the next one. Okay, as Carlos said, I think one of the important announcements that we did, apart from this unified user experience, is the Lakehouse, Amazon SageMaker Lakehouse. Here we have 3 clear features or points, tenets. First is unified. For example, this means that now it doesn't matter if your data lives on S3 tables, one of the big announcements on reInvent, or a RepSit cluster, that for your application, all of them are going to be Iceberg tables, and for your applications, it won't matter where the data lives. Other thing is open. Remember that we are now fully on Apache Iceberg specification. We have REST Iceberg catalog support on lake formation, on AWS accounts. We also support other transactional format or other open table formats such as Hoodie or Delta, but we are like fully with Iceberg for fully managed services right now. And the latest point or the latest tenet is secure. This means that you can use lake formation on top of catalogs, and that means that you, for example, can secure with the same procedures data that is stored on RepSit or on S3 tables or on S3 buckets via lake formation. Other third-party providers will be added in the future because you will secure the things on top of the catalog, and you won't need to have like a replicated set of permissions. For example, right now you need a data lake formation, but if you have some data on RepSit, you need to use the RepSit permission model. And with the Lakehouse approach, this means that you will have a unified set of permissions. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, other things that I want to share, like you can see there, like the unified. Remember also that we are pushing forward zero-ETL a lot in AWS. This is not nothing new, but we are trying to add more connectors from time to time. For example, there is now a DynamoDB connector, zero-ETL connector. You can get data from Auroras, Postgres, MySQL to RepSit. I mean, we are trying to simplify that kind of zero-ETL or getting data back from relational or non-relational data storage back to the Lakehouse to try to get analytics. Also, we are pushing federation. Remember that with Athena, you have plenty of connectors there because sometimes you don't want to have your data copied and you can do queries in place. And we also try to put tasks and this kind of concept or federation. There are other kind of platforms that refers to this as a virtualization layer. Remember that we are trying to push these kind of concepts from AWS data sources or third-party data sources. For example, for Salesforce, you have native connectors already. There are plenty of those already. You can see the list, and I think we have 30 on roadmap for this year. But remember, for AWS data sources, we'll have better COETL capabilities, and for third-party data sources, you may have COETL, but sometimes it's just federation. But as I said, it's usually that you don't want to replicate your data back from the source to the lakehouse. Okay, and finally, let's go to the next one. Okay, this sum up a little bit what we have been speaking. Remember, unified view. You have one technical catalog and you have unified access using Iceberg APIs. I mean, that means, as I said, for your applications, it won't matter where the data lives. S3 bucket, S3 tables, Repsit. It's just Iceberg tables for your applications, and that simplifies a lot because you don't need to install, for example, drivers for Repsit in your application, configure the user, manage IAM roles, etc. Just an Iceberg table. And again, fine-grained access controls via lake formations for all your data in a unified place that is going to be lake formation in the end, but you can assign those in SageMaker data platform. Okay, let's go back to the demo, please. Okay, you see here my screen. This is how it looks like when you join Amazon SageMaker. You can see here that I have access to the data catalog, a generative AI background, to my assets. And when you log in, you see your projects. Here you see that I have some of those already created. The idea here is that you have some tooling also available to try to work as fast as possible. Remember that this is another URL. This is not the same URL. You don't need to access to the AWS console to access this tool. In the future, you don't need to know. If you are working with data projects on AWS, you don't need to know anything about the AWS console. You will just log in here, and you will see the projects that you have access to. Then on those projects, for example, this one, you will see the project files that I have here. You see, for example, the different the data tables that I have in this case for this project. Remember that Amazon SageMaker means projects. A project can be, for example, marketing analysis of last year, people, data, and compute. That's it. You can see here, like I have a Repsit serverless cluster endpoint here. I have an EMR serverless compute here attached, a Jupyter Lab environment, but you can also have Hyperpod cluster and machine learning flow tracking servers, Apache Airflow workflow environments, and what? Just log first. Let me try to open. Want to show you how it looks like. Okay, there are different interfaces to work with data right now on Amazon SageMaker. One of those is Amazon's the Jupyter Live environment. Here is quite familiar for those that have already worked with Jupyter Lab, but one of the differences right now is that, for example, we can select the compute environment. You can see here that SQL, you can use SQL interface for Athel, and then you can choose what do you want to use to compute as SQL, and that can be changed from cell to cell. For example, let me try to see if I have another one here. For example, then for other cells, you can use, for example, PySpark, and you can choose the Spark environment that you want to use to compute a cell. It's important that also that we have some magics to send variables from the Jupyter Lab environment to distributed computer environments and then getting result backs, because, you know, Jupyter Lab is just a machine, a virtual instance, And then if you are using like Repsit or other kind of distributed or remote compute, we have some cool tooling there. And this is quite important. You can see here that, for example, you have tooling to visualize directly here some data using SQL queries from Repsit. But again, this is going to be the same for Athena or for whatever you want to choose. One also of the cool features that we have is also library management. For example, if you are working with the Spark projects, Maven artifacts, Java artifacts, but also like you can also use this kind of tooling to develop or to try to manage your Python Conda or PP packages. Okay, Jupyter Lab, we have already seen that. Let's try to see the query editor. Okay, this is the query editor. For those that have used the Repsit query editor, this is familiar to you. Just it's mostly the same interface, but one of the things also is that everything here supports Amazon Q by default. Amazon Q developer, you can ask questions, natural language processing queries, whatever you want. But the thing here is that you can use the novelty of this editor is that you can use this query editor to just connect or try to make queries to whatever you want. I mean, Athena, Repsit serverless cluster that you have, Repsit serverless cluster that you have provisioned, all in the same interface, because remember that this is all about user experience. And finally, I just want to show you, for example, one of the cool things that we have. Imagine that I want to build like an ETL pipeline. Remember that I could do it Glue ETL job on the Glue Jupyter Lab interface. I can do like a script, PySpark script directly. But now what I can do, for example, this is familiar for those that have already used Glue Visual Studio, but we have a kind of thing, a novel thing here. For example, let's try to describe an ETL job. Snowflake table, then filter by a column, save back results to our house. Okay, I do this kind of query. Let's wait a little bit. Okay. Yeah, let me try to see because I've tested this many times. Okay, it was our lakehouse that didn't like it. You can see here that with just natural language, you can have a skeleton of simple ETL pipelines. For example, here you will need to only add the Snowflake connection, then do the filtering by column, and then select on what catalog and tables you want to save your result bags. Remember that this is based on the Glue Visual Studio. You have a ton of tooling here. And remember that later on, you can have the PySpark script generated and you can use this. You can see here that, for example, you can download the notebook and then you can use, you can try to do a draft of the ETL pipeline on visual mode and then back to the code if you want to customize further. That's totally supported. And well, that's all I wanted to share. We have plenty of functionality here to showcase, but in 10 minutes, what is it? Remember that we can join force together with the next with Carlos and Cesar's team if you want to have more details on what are the capabilities that we have on SageMaker Lakehouse. Cesar, up to you.
Okay, let me present my my screen. Just 1 second. Can you see my screen now? So I guess you can see my screen. Okay, so I'm going to pick it up where Angel left it. So we are going to. I have a number of projects already, and what I'm going to do firstly is to show the governance capabilities that SageMaker Studio puts on the table. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share. I'm going to simulate a number of stakeholders. So I am a data engineer on the. This is the name of the project, sales forecast demo. Here we have as Angel was showing before, we have here a number of tables that the Jupyter Notebook created before. So we have a small number of tables. And for example, we can, as Angel was saying before, the great thing here is that we can just query these tables from the same. Oops, so this is current limit. Okay, just give me a second. We are trying to query this. Well, anyway, looks like we have hit some limits. I'm going to close some tabs. But the thing here is that once we have the tables that we have created before, okay, we can share them across teams in the same company, in the same account, etc. The key thing to emphasize is that SageMaker works in domains and projects. Okay, so this important thing because we have projects. Again, each project is assigned to a different team. For example, I'm working the sales forecast demo as a data engineer, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share some tables with different teams like the sales AI and generative AI. Okay, so I have just created this table a few minutes ago, which now we don't. It's doesn't want to show up, but now it's working. Okay, so I'm going to share this new promotions table with another team. Okay, so first of all, for this governance step, what I'm going to do is, so we'll go home. So we'll go to the project. We'll go to data sources, and first of all, what we need to do is to synchronize the data catalog and the data source. This is quite important because catalogs, as Angel said, and it's important here to highlight it. Catalogs are the most important pillar in SageMaker Studio. Why? Because each catalog contains a data source. Okay, we can have a catalog from DynamoDB. We can have catalogs coming from S3. We can have catalogs coming from Iceberg tables, etc. So first of all, what we need to do is to run this, although I have done it previously. And what it does is synchronize the table that we just created with the catalog. Okay, this is usually doesn't take that long, but the result is going to be similar here. And you see that new, yeah, it just finished. But in the previous run, we saw that there is an asset name called new promotions that it was successfully created. What it means here, and this is important, is the asset. So we SageMaker works with assets. So you will see this name quite often because at the end of the day, is the kind of artifact that we are going to share across teams, across groups, and even across accounts. Okay, so now we have this new promotions asset, which is at the end of the day the table. So we're going to edit this this asset. Okay, and what we want, we will start the curation process. So we click on new promotions, and we see that and this is a very cool feature of SageMaker Unified Studio, is that it's the system is proposing us some changes. So, for example, the most important ones are in the schema. So the system is going to propose names for the columns. For example, store underscore ID. It's going to propose to change it to a store ID in uppercase, data key, promotion, etc., etc. This is done through to improve their readability across the teams. Because as you may know, this for the data engineer, these columns can be meaningful, but for some other people, like the business analyst or marketing analyst, these some of the columns will not make sense for them. So here is a good opportunity to curate this data and apply the names we want. Okay, the same applies for metadata. We can create a README for the table. We can add glossary terms, because that's this is a very cool feature, because glossary terms, it's a way that that SageMaker Unified Studio allows us to create a vocabulary. So again, this is linked with what I said before. So we can create a bunch of vocabularies. So everybody in the organization, everybody across the different groups may understand what we mean by the table, by concepts, and so on. So this is, I'm not going to create any vocabulary, because for the sake of time, because I don't have that much time, but this is something that I really recommend doing it when you share data across different teams and different organizations. In the same fashion, we can create metadata forms for the asset that we are going to share. By default, it comes with a number of the typical, let's say, metadata, which is the account ID, the database name, the storage type, region, and so on. We can add more data to this metadata. Okay, we have the schema. Again, we can accept the changes proposed by the system or not. In any case, for example, let's accept all the recommendations. Okay, we can always change the value. Okay, the business name, as I said before, if we don't agree. So that's not a problem. We have to do all this before publishing the asset, so other guys see it. Okay, so we are still in the curation step, so to speak. So before publishing the asset, there is another very cool feature here, which is the filters. So we can share this asset entirely or just partially. If we just want to share part of the table that we are going to share, we can add a filter. For example, data filter, filter for dates. We are going to filter by columns or by rows. So we can, for example, in the starting date, we can hide all those fields, all those dates that are less than from last year. Okay, so we can publish whether or not the end viewer will realize about this filter or not. So I'm going to create the filter. It's, as you can see, it's fairly easy. Okay. We can import also, another cool feature is that we can import data quality reports from SageMaker. So if we have previously done some data quality reports or actions, we can import it here, which is pretty cool. We can see the lineage of this table and the changes that it has undergone. You can see different, you will see here different things, because I have been playing with this table a little bit. Okay, so here we have the subscription, we have the lineage info, we have the schema, and we have all the story. Okay, so this feature is also pretty cool. And then now, after we have edited all these assets, okay, at the end of the day, we can icons. We can accept all the recommendations that the system has suggested. I'm going to publish this asset, and this way I can make it available for other teams. Okay, as you can see, the creation process, which sometimes is a bit painful and takes time, it's pretty easy from here. Keep in mind that we haven't moved away from the application, so we are in the same application that Angel started. So we are here, and now I'm going to change the project. So I was working on the sales forecast project, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simulate. I'm a guy from the sales team. We're working from sales, and I want to see, if these assets, this new creation, new promotion is there. So I'm going to see the data sources. So first of all, we need to synchronize the data sources here. And this is the asset, so published, subscribe. So here we have the different tables that we have been dealing in the past. So it looks like doesn't want to show up. Let's to fetch metadata. Okay, so looks like this is the Murphy's law. Okay, in any case, let's suppose now it didn't get published, but we can play with that, for example, which is another one, which is another table that was published here, and we could take and play with it. Okay, so this is basically what I wanted to show you about let's see if we can try it again to publish it and see if you can see it. So it's published. So new promotion here. It has been already published. So it should be seen by other projects. From here, in any case, when we go to assets, here we can query and we can edit, as we are the owners of this asset. We can query it, and we can do a number of admin tasks. Okay, so let's try from another project and see if we can see the assets. From here, from marketing, we can see in the inventory, we can finally see the table. Okay, so we could use it without any problem. So long story short is, without having to leave the same tool, the same framework, it is possible to do all these data governance, data management, etc., without having to change the tool, which is pretty neat. I forgot to mention that SageMaker and Unified Studio works with single sign-on. In my case, I logged on with my company ID. Okay, so this is especially important because for the sake of time, I'm not going to change users, but it's important that playing with single sign-on capabilities, we can share projects and we can work across different domains. Okay, so now moving on, let's finally have a look at how SageMaker Unified Studio provides neat tools for generative AI. So, for example, let's work with the team that is dealing with generative AI. Okay, we can go from home. We can always access all the projects. We can access the most significant tools. And for example, from generative AI, we can access directly to the AI playground. For those of you who are familiar with Bedrock, this is very similar. So we can jump in directly to the playground and make some start playing with different models and test them. For example, we can test Anthropic. We can test. Tell me about the KPIs used at most successful companies. Okay, so we can make a question, any prompt. Okay, and it's pretty straightforward. We again, I want to highlight that we haven't moved away from the tool, and we can play with the models. Another very interesting feature is that we can compare the models. So I can have up to 3 windows here. I can compare the prompt against different models. For example, we can test the same prompt against Titan. The Titan model from AWS. So we can compare the outputs, which is pretty cool. And an important thing is that we can not only that, but I can play with the configuration. I can play with the configuration variables. I can play with the temperature, which, as you know, is the level of randomness that the model has in place. The top P parameter, which is the percentage of the most likely candidates that the model is considers for the next token. And instead of percentage, the number, the top key is the number of the most likely candidates that the model considers for the next token. So we can play with this with these parameters, which is pretty cool. And then we can adjust it, and do chats, and we can run it again if we want. We can even have three windows in the same time, so we can compare. We can include now Llama for the same prompt, and it's pretty cool because we can we can compare the different outputs from different models. So which is this is very good because it can save you time when you are comparing different models, when you are trying to find out which model fits better your business case. So from here we can build obviously a build. Of course, we can save it. We can build the flow actually, and actually this is pretty cool. You can see here we can build a flow. We can this is very similar to what we saw before with Angel when he was showing the glue interface to build ETLs. So here is the same. So we can build a flow. We can, for example, we could add a knowledge base. Okay, so which is pretty interesting. We could build a knowledge base. I have already a file that I have incorporated before. We can set up the model. So this is it's very easy to build an agent through these components. And I encourage you to test it, to play with it, because at the end of the day, is the way you learn this sort of programs. So we had in the model. One thing I forgot to show you actually when we are playing with the playground is that we also have a multimodal here, multimodal features where we can request to generate an image. Okay, so generate a smiling cat, for example. In that case, we only have one model to generate images, but we can in that case we had a number of images, 3. I can decrease it to 2, but of course you can play with that. In our case, we had I have only defined one multimodal to be available here, but of course you can have as many as you want. Okay, you just have to define it in Bedrock. So that would be the the cats that the system has generated. Okay, just to finalize, I wanted to show you for those of you who play with models, the jump start. This is quite important. AWS provides a very large number of models pre-trained, so you can choose. For example, let's choose one from Hugging Face. The first one, there's Mistral, which is text generation. You can choose one and you can deploy it. Actually, it's pretty cool because it comes from the notebooks as well. So you can take the notebook and you can deploy it. Okay, for the sake of time, I'm not going to do it, but it saves you a lot of time. Again, and even for the deployment part, it comes from all the features to deploy it. We can choose the endpoint name that, as you know, is the interface that you have to include in your programs when implementing inference, when calling the model itself. So you define the endpoint. You're going to define the instant type. So depending on how big the model is, we will have to take a rather large instant type or less, depending on the size of the model. have also in advanced settings, there is the possibility to encrypt, to use encryption for all the communications, which is also super interesting for some cases. Okay, and that's it. So again, the main takeaway here is that you can deploy many models out of the box, and in a safe way within your project, to test and play a little bit with it. As I don't have much time, of course, here you have, we can train jobs. We can define, again, we can manage the inference endpoints. And as for AI ops, you have the machine learning flows. You can registry models. You can, of course, set up model evaluations, and so on. And as you can see here, the cool thing is that you don't have to move away from this framework. Everything is in one place. Of course, you will have, depending on your role, depending on your security groups, and of course your rights within the account, you will be able to only access one of these features. But again, it's very comfortable. You don't have to keep switching gears. You don't have to keep switching tools. So everything is managed from one single place. And that's it. I think on my side, this is just, as you can see, this is just a very, very short introduction to SageMaker Unified Studio. But if you are interested in a deep dive, or in looking at some feature more in depth, please let us know, and we can prepare a specific presentation, a specific demo for your use case. Thank you very much. And Carlos, back to you.
Yes, thank you very much, both Cesar and Angel, for this overview. I hope you all found it very useful. I mean, it was, again, just bit of a teaser on the key functionalities, and as we've been talking during this session, the importance of these different capabilities that companies need to build today, and how the SageMaker Unified Studio is enabling this, from starting with this solid data foundation. The SageMaker Lakehouse is a very powerful solution capability that you now have available. But then once you have your data foundation, it's important to have the proper governance with the governance set in the Unified Studio, but also very important what Cesar shared on sharing and collaborating on your data. So to break silos, to make sure that everyone has access and is aware of the different both data and models available. There's a very strong governance. And then this unified consumption layer. I mean, I'm sure that for everyone working on AWS, this simplification of interface, like Angel was mentioning, even you not even have to go to the AWS console, but you have a direct URL. You go in there and you can just, depending on your role, you can find your favorite tools in one place working on the same data. This is gonna simplify. It's gonna help a lot the different teams, and really recommend this solution. And again, this was we selected some use cases that thought that it would be interesting for you to see, but I'm sure there's other use cases that you'd like to evaluate. So we are offering this personalized demo. I'm gonna add the link in case you want to take the link on the chat and make note of it. And if there's any particular areas that either you have questions or you'd like to review, then feel free to let us know, and then we can happy to set up a personalized demo. But I hope you found this interesting. And again, thanks Cesar and Angel for your for sharing this this demo. And yeah, I think we'll have 5 minutes for for still some Q&A. I see there's some questions coming in, so we can finalize and answer any specific questions that are coming in. So I don't know if either Angel or you or Cesar want to comment on any of the Q&A.
Yeah, I see comments about security. Remember, this is all using the information in behind the scenes. There is nothing. I mean, this is just a user experience. If you secure the things with the Amazon SageMaker on the Lakehouse, remember that if you go to the information, you will see all of those links and security configs that are there. And about data access and data products, remember that we have support for data products. That is a way to group data assets on DataZone. I mean, remember that the data governance concepts that SageMaker is using are based on the DataZone concepts. And if you want to read more about it, just please go to Amazon DataZone documentation, and at least you can get the idea of what is going to be the capabilities. As Carlos posted on the chat, remember that you can send a request for a personalized demo on those kind of capabilities.
Okay, very good. I don't see any other questions, so I think unless anything comes in, we can wrap this up. So again, hope you found this interesting. We're super excited with the SageMaker Unified Studio, and it's still in rapid development. So for sure, more features coming up and capabilities. So yeah, feel free to let us know if you want to know more. And thank you everyone for joining. And I hope you found this interesting. And with this, we can wrap it up. So thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.